Hey everybody, welcome in to our assessment video here. And we're joined today by Justice, who's our wonderful, outstanding student assistant. Let's get Justice here in the frame.
Hi.
Thanks, Justice, so much for helping us out today. Just want to show for the record here that Justice is an outstanding reader. She's a college student here at Appalachian, but she's helping us out today by pretending that she's an emerging reader so we can help to learn how to give this Alphabetics assessment. So you need to have that packet with the reading profile that you will have downloaded or you have up in another tab on your computer. And you'll want to go to the very first page for those, because I'm going to simulate filling out a reading profile, which is on that first page. So if you don't have that packet, make sure you pause the video and download that so you can follow carefully along as we go through. Okay, well, now that you have that packet, I'm here on page 1, and we are going to say that Justice had a placement score on her TABE test in reading of 4.3. And so I've went ahead and placed this in on my reading profile. And when we finish today, I'll put her score here in the word identification mastery level. But right now, what I'm going to do is go to page 2, and that has the directions. And actually, even before I do that, you'll notice on page 4 that you've got the word list. What I might recommend that you do is to cut those out. We put these on a sheet of cardstock. You can certainly do that. So that way you can just easily hand those to the student when we're ready to start the assessment. So that's a good thing to do prior to that. So those are on page 4. You've got your score sheet there on page 3, which you can use to mark. What I usually do is put a check if the student has said the word correctly, and I try to write in next to it if the student says it incorrectly. I try to write what they've said. Now, in order to do that, you'll have to caution the student to give you a couple seconds in between the time they read each word. So if they rattle them off, bing, 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 it's going to be awfully hard for us to write anything down. So you may want to mention that to the student prior to giving the assessment. So what we do, and I'm looking here on page 2 where the directions are, the directions say that you're going to say to the learner, Justice, I'm going to ask you to read some words out loud. You may not know all of them, and it's all right to make some mistakes. And you may correct yourself, and it won't count as a mistake. And so then I would hand her a copy of one of the word lists. Now, a few things that we need. Justice is just going to be relaxed here for just a minute. But a couple things to keep in mind as we score these. Should a learner not attempt a word, it's just something they know and they don't even want to give it a try, just leave it blank, and that would of course count as wrong. Should the learner mumble or say something that you didn't quite understand, you could ask them to repeat it, and as we see here it just says, would you repeat that one please? And then the student could say it from there. So if a student says a word first incorrect, and then they correct themselves within about 4 seconds, you could then give them credit for that. But it also works the other way too, that if they initially said the word correctly, but then switch their response to incorrect, you would count that one as wrong. And if they take a long time, this says 4 seconds, use your judgment. You don't have to get a stopwatch out and to see exactly if it's 4 seconds, but if it takes them a long time and they haven't said anything, you can guess that they don't know what the word is. Now, one other thing to keep in mind is as well our dialects and regional accents, because we always know what ESL stands for, right? Some people think it stands for English as a second language, but we know ESL stands for English as a Southern language. So if somebody uses a pronunciation that is correct in your neck of the woods, you can count it as correct, and that's perfectly fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep giving Justice word lists, and we're going to try to find the highest level in which she gets 7 out of 12 correct. Or we run out of word lists. We can't give any beyond E because that's all we have. So we will keep giving her list until she gets fewer than 7 out of 10 correct. And then this is something important you may want to write down. You will definitely want to write down. Once you have determined the highest level that they've got 7 out of 10 and you're trying to figure out what grade equivalent this matches to, if they get 7 or 8 correct, and the highest one before they got less than 7 out of 10 correct, 7 or 8 is the lower grade level in that section, and 9 would be the higher grade level in that particular section. So we'll do one here with Justice just to kind of get a feel for how this is going to look. So we're going to start at the level that her Tabor, her CASAS was, which in this case, she was a 4.3, so I'm going to start her with list B and ask her in just a second to read those words. And so what I'm going to do is I'll put these words up here on the screen. And so, Justice, thank you for being so patient. I'm going to ask you to read some words out loud. You may not know all of them, and it's all right to make a mistake. You may correct yourself, and it won't count against you. So are you ready to go ahead and read that first word list?
Yes.
Okay, if you would go ahead and start. And while she is doing that, I am going to be recording her scores. Put a check if she's got it right. I'll try to write in what she says if it's not correct. So, Justice, please, whenever you're ready.
Airplane, before, water, 100, bank, Thursday, complete, package, record, science.
Okay, Justice, great. That was fantastic. Now, Justice got all 10 of those right. She said record. You could also accept a record for that particular one. Either of those would work because those are both words, just a slightly different syllable pronunciation there for that one. So she had all 10 of those correct, and what our goal is to find that highest level where she has 7 out of 10 correct. So what would we do? She had 10 out of 10 correct. We're going to think for a minute. We're going to go up a level. So we're going to go ahead and have her do now the word list C for grade levels 5 to 6. So let's see how she does on 5 to 6. So Justice, are you ready for the next set of words?
Yes.
Okay, please begin.
Citizen, citizen, computer, information, temporary, explanation, application, contrite, development, material,
Would you repeat that last one, please?
practice.
All right. So reviewing our scores here for this one, for the 5-6 list. Justice had said citizen instead of citizen, so she missed that one. She was doing great. We came down to concentrate, and she said cantrite, so we missed that one. And then at the end, I heard her kind of mumbling, so I wasn't exactly sure, so I just asked her to repeat that, and then she very correctly said practice. So actually, we just had those two that she missed, citizen and concentrate. So she had 8 out of 10 on our level 5-6 list. And so we're trying to find the highest level in which she has 7 out of 10 correct. So since she's got 8, what are we going to do? We're going to move on to the next highest list. So we're going to give her now list D, which is the grade level 7 or 8 equivalent. So once again, Justice, you're doing great. I'm going to go ahead and ask you to read the next list. And I'm going to still mark through. I'm going to put a check if she's got it. I'm going to try to write down what she says if she makes an error. So Justice, please, whenever you're ready.
Contribution, convenient, individual, acknowledge, pollution, automatic, reputation, urgent, prescription, confidential.
All right, thank you, Justice. So, looking at these words, we had a couple of errors here. Instead of contribution, she said contribution. Instead of acknowledge, I had down acknowledge. Instead of optimistic, she said optimatic, so that was incorrect. And then also with prescription, she said prescription. So we had in this case 4 errors or 6 correct. So we're going to go ahead and stop. So Justice, thank you. We're going to stop with this assessment. So what does this mean? I'm looking again for the highest level at which she had at least 7 correct. And so on the word list for grade level equivalent 5, 6, she had 8 correct. So in this case, what I'm going to do at this list, she had 8 correct. So we had said earlier that if they had 7 out of 8 correct and the highest one they had at least 7 right was going to be the lower grade level. So she is going to be grade level equivalent 5 on her alphabetics mastery. So what I'll do is I'm going to go back to my reading profile at the very front, and I'm going to go ahead and put in a 5 here for her word identification mastery level. She read that next word list, that level D, but since she didn't have more than 7 out of 10 correct, we had to go back to that highest level where she did. She had 8 right there, and that's going to match up with that grade level equivalent 5. So Justice, once again, thank you, and you may just want to spend a few minutes reviewing and especially looking at those directions before you give that assessment. But this shows you how to give the Alphabetics assessment to your students.